Hi there, everybody. My name is Joe Cronyn. I'm a real estate analyst, a market analyst with Valbridge Property Advisors, Lippin, Frizzell, and Mitchell. So as we looked at the corridor here, we can draw all the pretty pictures that we want, okay? But we want to give you something that's real, okay? We have the pretty pictures, but we're also trying to understand what the market is and make sure that we can communicate the market to potential new uses, new retailers, whatever, as we move along here. So we have to be reality-based in our planning. Some of the things that we look at are in terms of market conditions. There are basically prevailing modest incomes in the neighborhood. The median income for the market area here is around $25,000, okay? Which means half the households in the neighborhood are making less than $25,000 a year, okay? We have to be able to serve the folks who are living at all income levels in the neighborhood, even as income levels in the neighborhood start to advance as we have more successful development along the corridor. Excuse me? Okay, so some of the other situations. We have documented very high transit dependencies. A lot of folks just do not have cars. Over half the households in the neighborhood do not have automobiles. Okay, what does that mean? That means we need to be able to serve folks, offer a more walking environment and services within a walking environment so that we can take care of all the people in the neighborhood, not just the folks with cars. The neighborhood is moderate density. In particular, we've got relatively low scale building structural types. Typically 2 stories, 3 stories. We've got a lot of vacant land in the neighborhood and abandoned buildings in the neighborhood. What we want to do is take that moderate density and be able to increase the densities as we go along, okay? What happens then? The more we increase residential densities, for example, that creates market opportunities for a retailer to say, oh, now I'm going to be able to serve more people and be able to be successful delivering more services to the neighborhoods and to the neighborhood folks who are already here. Neighborhood diversity is a tremendous opportunity. We've got diversity of ethnicity, of race. We've got everybody here, and which means that a retailer can serve all sorts of different people, not just one brand, okay? And that's a tremendous opportunity for the retailers who are smart. Finally, one of the other things that we looked at was the school assets. We have a neighborhood where there's actually reasons for people to stick it out, to stay and to grow with the neighborhood. Schools like the Montessori School, the Baltimore Design School, the Barclay Elementary, we've got terrific schools in the neighborhood where you have a reason for people to put down their stakes, okay, where you have kids and can have a great life together. So this is the kind of neighborhood we're dealing with. Some of the pluses, some of the minuses realistically, but this is what we're planning for as we move along.
I got one slide. I'm Michele Whelley, I'm an economic development consultant, and I want to talk a little bit about the real estate challenges and opportunities. As Joe said, we're working hard to develop a plan that can elevate everybody in the community. People who are here, people who want to come here, commercial opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. So there's great opportunities and there's also challenges. And those of you who live here and work here know it better than I do, but I'm going to walk through a few of them. There are, as you saw on some of the previous maps, and you'll hear more about it a little bit later, there are existing buildings that are either completely vacant or underutilized, commercial buildings, old factories, old warehouses, etc. It's a challenge to figure out how to reuse those so that they're productive and add to the community, but it's also a great opportunity for some really, really unique uses. And the folks who will come up after me will talk about some of those. So again, it's a challenge and an opportunity. We don't want to come in and just bulldoze everything. We want to see how existing buildings that are now vacant or underutilized can be reused in a very productive way. Shallow lots, meaning that a lot of the existing lots, particularly those that have residential or were residential, aren't very deep. So that limits the opportunity for building something new. So in order to look at maybe a full block redevelopment or a couple of blocks that are now vacant or near vacant, it's going to require land assembly. You're going to have to acquire the land and assemble parcels that are deeper and that have enough frontage on Greenmount to make it financially viable for redevelopment. So again, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity because there are multiple blocks along this corridor that can lend themselves to land assembly fairly easily. Real estate appraisals and comparables. Whenever you go into an area that has a number of vacants that have low values, whether it's commercial property or residential property, when you're going to buy it, whether you're going to buy a piece of property to build on or whether you're going to buy a home that's already been built, you have to have it appraised in order to get a bank to finance it. Appraisers base their valuations on comparables. And as Joe mentioned, the income levels the median is $25,000. There are lower income properties as well as higher income properties. And that translates to comparables that are going to probably fall short of how much financing you need to buy a lot or buy a house. So we have to figure that out. How do we, number one, work with appraisers so that we can get those appraisals inched up, but also how can we identify financing programs, gap financing that can close the gap between what you need in order to get a loan to buy a piece of property and what the bank is willing to lend you. And there are, thankfully, not just here along the corridor, but everywhere in the city, opportunities for those kinds of financing mechanisms and programs. Tax credit programs that attract investment to give you upfront equity in order for that investor to have a rate of return in the future. Programs like low-income housing tax credits, and programs that attract new investments such as new market tax credits, a program called EB5, and other public investments that lead the way before conventional financing can be put in place. And public investments, for the most part, need to lead the way. The conventional financing community needs to see that there is a public investment, which means there's a commitment on the part of the community as well as the city to help this community grow. So that public investment has to come in and then partner with other tax credit programs as well as conventional financing. And last but not least, we have to be realistic about what the retailers are going to require before they come in. We'd all love to see great retail along the corridor. I think every place I go, can we get a Target? Can we get a Starbucks, et cetera, et cetera? There's realities that we have to face. One is the actual physical realities, what kind of footprint they require, what kind of access they might require in terms of loading docks and parking, et cetera. And then there's a market reality. What is the market potential for any particular retailer to be able to make money? So we need to look at what spaces we can create for new retail, what spaces already exist that have either vacant storefronts or what we would call marginal uses, and how can we attract better uses that not only address the needs of the existing community, all of you who already live and work here, but also can attract not only more residents into the area, but more investment into the area. And really try to figure out who those retailers are and incentivize them to come into the area. So those are some of the challenges and opportunities up and down the corridor. And with that, I'll turn it over to Gavin and